I used to have a job that paid really well. Problem was there was business trips, overtime, weekends. Years went by. My kid went from uh, 10 to 15 to 18, and I didn't even notice sometimes. In fact, on his 18th birthday, I was on a business trip. And, it wasn't going to work out that way. So I spent a year studying, working really hard, and got a SCUBA instructor's license, and decided to finally walk. And I put in my notice, and I went home, and I told the old lady, hey, I did it. We're free. And she said, so how many clients do you have? And I said, well, none right now. And she commented that, food on the table and a roof over her head was pretty nice. So I went ahead and I got a different job. This one's supposed to be weekdays only, 8 to 5, off at 5, no weekends. So it's not the perfect world, but I could grow the SCUBA business by working nights on the training, and then squeeze in a little water work during the summer, and then just do the diving on the weekends. Pretty normal fare for around here where I'm at. Unfortunately, it didn't take long before reporting to the office became reporting to the job site, and off by 5 became home by 7. Home by 7 means there's no water work during the day or during the weekday. And now I'm really tired, and it's hard to squeeze people in on the weekends. Eventually, they started sending me on trips too. And I'd be up in mainland Japan. I'm in Okinawa, right? And the trips would be 2 months, and then they would be 3 months, and then they would be 6 months. And, when you're not where you need to be to do the diving, you cannot really run a SCUBA business. So it was time to change course again. I worked hard. I saved up a few months of income. I started an LLC, and I went and I talked to the owner of the company that I was working with. And I said, hey, I want to do the same job, the same responsibilities. I just don't want to do it as an employee anymore. I want to do it as your subcontractor. And she was really, really supportive. No complaints there. Amazing people. I don't know if I would have been able to get where I am now without these people's support. Anyway, I digress. So since I really wasn't able to do SCUBA, which I was kind of sad to make that decision, but I decided to shift towards real estate. And since I now had a company which was registered to do real estate, I'm now generating a proof of income for that by working at the old job as a subcontractor. And now I have a history. The company's aging instead of being new, which makes it easier for banks and other companies to invest in. Unfortunately, no sooner did we sign the contract that my company is now working with her company, I got a phone call from the States, and it was a family emergency. I had to grab my son, jump on the next plane, and away to the States. And we were there for 2 or 3 weeks. And due to the timing of it, unfortunately, we came back, and then we had to do 2 weeks in quarantine. And all of these, I don't regret it. Thank God I had the emergency fund. Thank God I had the emergency fund. And we were able to cover all the expenses. Unfortunately, upon returning, even though I was able to go back to work immediately, the job my son was performing was eliminated at the company he was at. So there's no more leeway. The emergency fund is gone, and we're back to paycheck. And that meant when this business, my client now, asked me to go on another 6-month business trip, I had to say yes. And while I was gone, things weren't really going well with the family, with my wife, and it was determined that this wasn't working and I needed to be home, because over the last 3 years, I was pretty much gone. I was up in mainland. I'd come back to visit, I'd go back to mainland, and it wasn't working out for us. Not long after I came back from that 6-month business trip, it was time to renew the contract with my client. And unfortunately, I had to say no this time because, again, they're going to send me to mainland again. That's where the money was. It's where the business was. No fault of their own. That's just how it is. So I based that decision on my experience, on what I'd seen so far, and in no small part due to advice I'd received from different creators, other professionals, and people who had finally stood up and taken a hard line. And they very clearly, they said it. You're going to get what you're willing to put up with. And I always thought that was just some hoity-toity bullshit that people are just, repeating other people. And I found out, no, actually, if you make a hard line and you don't accept what you're not willing to accept, then, it's rougher, but easier at the same time. So I started looking for new clients because I wasn't going to renew the contract and I knew it. And as fate would have it, my contacts here on the island, I was able to find another company who was willing to say, yes, you will be home every night. No, we will not send you to mainland. No, we will not send you on business trips. Maybe the occasional overtime, maybe the occasional weekend, but you'll be here. And that was good. However, I had to be in their office from 8 to 5 at least every day. And that means I'm not working on my business. I'm just another glorified employee. And so the search began again. After a year and a half of working with this client, who I'm very grateful for, kept my family fed, kept the roof over our heads, and they're good people to work with as well. I happily work with them again in the future, under, of course, my new requirements, which was I don't need to be in your office unless there's a meeting. I'll go for a meeting. Remote's fine, doing it online is fine, but sometimes you just have to sit down together and talk, and that's cool. But I digress. The newest client that I had found after a year and a half of searching, they understood. They said, we want the results. We need your mind. We don't need your time. We don't care what you do. You're a service provider. We want this result. Provide us this result, and we will pay you. Now I can work in my office. I can do what they need. I can look for and satisfy other clients' needs and grow my business at long last. The key thing to take away from this is you'll get what you put up with. I used to put up with a lot. Not anymore.